In the world, there are places left behind by ancient civilizations, places that are still not fully understood as to how or why they were made. In this video, we will count the things left behind by civilizations that seem to have suddenly disappeared. But before we continue, please like this video. It means a lot to us content creators. Thank you very much. Let's start with number 14, the Serapeum of Saqqara in Egypt. About 20 miles south of Cairo, beneath the Saqqara desert, there's a hidden tunnel system carved directly into solid limestone. It stretches for hundreds of meters underground. Along the main passage, there are cramped chambers. It's almost impossible for a person with large equipment to fit inside. And inside these chambers, you will find 24 giant boxes made of granite. Each one is approximately 4 meters long, 2 meters wide, and 3 meters high, and they are not pieced together. Each one is carved from a single block of stone. Granite is an extremely hard material. The lid of each box alone weighs around 30 tons. The box itself weighs between 70 to 100 tons. It was even transported from a place more than 800 kilometers away. Inside the boxes, the polish is almost perfect. The difference from a flat surface is less than 1 micron. That's 1/1000th of a millimeter. But almost all of them are empty. According to the official explanation, they were supposedly used as tombs for the Apis bulls, the sacred animals in Egypt. The size of the animal wouldn't fit inside the box. And out of 24 boxes, only one was found with animal remains. 21 of them don't have any inscriptions at all. A civilization where almost every surface is covered with writing, and the other 3 have markings that seem to have been added at a later time. Until now, many questions remain unanswered. How did they shape the granite this precisely? How did they transport such a heavy object from such a distant place? And how did they get it into the narrow tunnels? Number 13, the Vitrified Forge in Scotland. In different parts of Scotland, especially in the hills and along the coast, there are ancient forts that have a unique appearance. Their walls aren't just damaged, they look like they've melted. The stones have fused together and have a glass-like texture, but until now, there's no certainty as to why they're like this. When wood burns, the heat inside the stone rises, like an oven. And with extreme heat, the stone melts and fuses together. But the question is, was this done on purpose or was it just an accident? There's a theory that enemies did this to destroy the fortress. Others say that the residents did this intentionally as a ritual before leaving the place, but it's hard to do. It requires continuous extreme heat for many hours or even days. In experiments, even modern people have a hard time replicating this, so it's still unclear why they did this, but it seems like it had a purpose that has been lost to history. Number 12, the underwater ruins of Dwarka in India. In December 2000, a research team from the National Institute of Ocean Technology was conducting a sonar survey off the coast of Gujarat. Suddenly, they saw a strange image under the sea, structures that looked man-made. The structures were evenly spaced, shaped like rectangles, and covered a large area at a depth of 20 to 40 meters. Among what they saw under the sea, there were structures resembling fortifications that were almost 100 meters long. If this is correct, it would be even older than the earliest known civilizations like Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. This means the entire timeline of human history would need to be changed. There are researchers who believe this is the city of Dwarka, the place mentioned in the Mahabharata as the kingdom of Krishna, which was submerged in the sea after his death. At first, this was considered just a legend, but because of what was seen on sonar, it now seems possible that it has a basis in real events. However, the scientific community remains cautious. One of the issues is how the artifacts were obtained. Dredging, not controlled excavation. This means it's not certain if these really came from the actual structures. It's also possible that strong waves brought objects from other places. But there is other evidence that's harder to explain. There are stone structures, walls, and more than 100 stone anchors found near modern Dwarka. This shows that there might have been a large port in the area in ancient times. Until now, the debate is still ongoing and the structures remain under the sea. Number 11 is the Baigong Pipe in China. On the side of the Kaidam Basin in Qinghai Province, there is a strange mountain that looks triangular in shape. Inside this mountain, there are 3 caves. And inside the caves, there are things you wouldn't expect. Pipes. These aren't mineral formations that just look like pipes. They are truly hollow and cylindrical, with different sizes, ranging from a few millimeters up to 40 centimeters in diameter. The pipes are embedded in the walls and floor of the cave, and some even reach all the way to the lake outside. There are also pipes that follow the edge of the lake, and some disappear beneath it. These were discovered in 1996, and samples were sent for analysis. About 8% could not be identified, and according to the analysis, these are about 150,000 years old. The problem is, there is no evidence of human activity in the area during that time. It is believed that humans only started in the region about 30,000 years ago. Because of this, the Chinese government even put up a sign calling it something like an alien site. But scientists are more careful with their explanation. According to most geologists, it is possibly fossilized. When the soil has mineral-rich water, the roots of the tree can be replaced by minerals as it decays until it looks like a pipe. But what's unusual here is the arrangement of the pipes. It's like there's a system leading to the lake, and the 8% unidentified material remains a mystery. It's still unclear whether this is really natural or if there's another explanation. Number 10, Thornborough Hinges in England. On flat land near the River Ure in North Yorkshire, there are 3 large circular earthworks arranged in a line. Each one is about 240 meters in diameter, even larger than the outer ring of Stonehenge. These have walls that used to reach 4 to 5 meters high, with a ditch inside, and 2 entrances aligned to the northwest and southeast. The walls were coated with white gypsum that sparkled under the sun. These were built between 3,500 and 2,500 BCE. That means it's even older than the Egyptian pyramids. Most people hardly know about it. Many people living nearby have never even heard of it. One reason for this is that in the 20th century, the area was used as a quarry for gravel. Many parts of the landscape were completely lost before archaeologists and the local community were able to stop it.
Nakaligtas ang mismong
These can help us understand it. There's almost nothing left. What's more impressive here is the arrangement of the 3 circles. They're not in a straight line. The arrangement has a precise curve, and that angle matches the position of the 3 stars in Orion's belt. If this is correct, this predates the alignment of the Egyptian pyramids. By about 1,000 years, the eastern side is aligned with the sunrise during the midsummer solstice, and the southern entrances of the 3 hinges are aligned with the rising of Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. There are also pits arranged like pathways that were possibly used for ceremonies. But what kind of rituals were performed here, we no longer know. No writings were left behind, no decorations, and almost no artifacts. Underneath the central hinge, an even older structure was found, a long trench that stretches for almost 1 mile. This is even older than the hinges themselves. This means that this place was already important even before the circles were built, but the people who made them seem to have suddenly disappeared from history. Number 9. The stone labyrinths of Bolshoi Zayatsky in Russia. On a small island in the White Sea, about 150 kilometers from the Arctic Circle, there are 14 stone labyrinths. The island is very small. Its area is less than half a square kilometer. But in one part of it, there are clusters of stones arranged in a spiral pattern. Each labyrinth has a diameter ranging from 6 to 25 meters. In addition to this, there are more than 850 stone mounds on the island, and some of them contain bones. No one knows who made them, when, or why. The labyrinths are called Babylons by the locals, a name that has just been passed down through generations without explanation. Each stone is about 30 to 40 centimeters. They are arranged in a circle, but it isn't a maze. There is only one direction you can walk, going in and out. But the question is, what is it for? There's a theory that it was used as a fish trap because it's close to the sea, but the same design has been found in places far from water, so that's not enough of an explanation. Others say it's part of a ritual, a place where souls are led astray so they won't return to the world of the living. He noticed that the orientation of the labyrinths varies, which could mean they had different uses. That's still the most detailed study about this. But even so, the true purpose of this remains a mystery. And until now, we still don't know why. The stone mounds contain bones, but the labyrinths don't. This means that if anything happened inside them, it wasn't physical. It's possible that the true purpose lies in the minds or beliefs of the people who pass through here. The White Sea still surrounds the island. The stones remain exactly where they were placed, and the spirals have only one entrance and always go in the same direction. Number 8 is the Goseck Circle in Germany. In 1991, an aerial survey was conducted in a field near the town of Goseck. In the photo, a faint circle appeared in the middle of the crops. It wasn't investigated right away. 12 years passed before they started to excavate it in 2002. And what they discovered was a circular structure with a diameter of 75 meters. It is composed of 4 layers with a trench, a wall, and 2 circles of wooden posts. The structure has 3 entrances, and when they analyzed the position using GPS, they noticed something. The 2 southern entrances are exactly aligned with the sunrise and sunset during the winter solstice. The 3rd entrance, on the other hand, is facing north. But until now, it's still unclear why. It was built around 4,900 BCE and was used for about 200 years before it was abandoned. It is more than 2,000 years older than Stonehenge, and it is considered the oldest solar observatory in the world. They had no writing and no clear identity, but there was another discovery at the site: traces of rituals. Burnt remains were found, and even human bodies, including a headless skeleton near the entrance. This changed the perspective of the archaeologists. Before, they thought that the people back then were just simple farmers. But the Goseck Circle showed that they were able to track the movement of the sun with incredible precision, thousands of years before the pyramids and the Bronze Age. In 2005, the wooden structure was rebuilt on the site. Every winter solstice, the sun still passes through the exact entrance, just like it did 7,000 years ago, and its angle is almost identical to the alignment of the Goseck Circle. It's possible that the two are connected. This means that even back then, there were people who seriously studied the sky even without modern equipment. Number 7, Rujem El Hiri in the Golan Heights. About 16 kilometers east of the Sea of Galilee, there's a strange structure in a flat area made of basalt. It is made up of more than 40,000 tons of black volcanic rock. It has 4 circular walls, and in the center there's a pile of stones about 5 meters high. That's why it's called the Wheel of Giants. What's unusual is that you can't immediately see the pattern when you're on the ground. You need to see it from above to understand the whole design. It was discovered in 1968 from aerial photos. The stones also came from the surrounding area. It's estimated that it took about 25,000 working days to build this, and it was made around 3,000 to 2,700 BCE. This was built at the same time as Stonehenge and the first pyramids, but no organic material was found inside it, and the central part seems to have been looted before it was studied. There are many theories about its purpose. It was once thought to be used as an astronomical site because it is aligned with the movement of the sun. There is still no certainty about what its true purpose really is. It turned out that the entire structure rotated slightly and shifted by several meters due to the movement of tectonic plates. This means that the alignments they previously calculated were based only on the current position, not the original one. It's possible that the theory that it was used for astronomy is wrong. This means it's not the only one. This is just the one that remained the clearest. But whatever its true purpose is, one thing doesn't change. A huge amount of effort went into building this. Over 40,000 tons of stone were arranged without any mortar. And this was done by people who had no wheels, no large animals to carry things, and no clear reason why they built it in the middle of that place. There was even a person buried in the middle of it. But after it was built, they left it. There were no traces of dwellings, no tools, no sign at all that a community lived there. It's as if they just went there to build it and then left. The Wheel of Giants is still there, silent in the middle of the basalt. Number 6 is the stone spheres of Costa Rica. In the 1930s, the United Fruit Company was clearing the jungle in southern Costa Rica to turn it into a banana plantation. While the machines were digging, they hit some hard objects underground. When they dug it up, stones that were almost perfectly round came out. Some were as big as a ball, but there were some that were even bigger than a person. The largest one was 9 feet in size and weighed 26 tons. More than 300 were found, and they are believed to have been made by Dickey's culture. They didn't leave any writing, so there is no direct explanation as to why they made them. The stones came from a quarry about 50 kilometers away. It is still unknown how they managed to transport such heavy objects into the middle of the jungle. These were made by carving and polishing using sand. But even so, some of them are incredibly close to perfect spheres. Some were even damaged because of the belief that there was gold inside. There was no treasure, no secret, just a perfect stone. Until the Spaniards arrived in the 16th century, there was still no recorded explanation about these. And by that time, the culture that made them was already gone. Now the spheres remain a mystery, objects that required effort, skill, and time, but they left no answer as to why. Number 5, the Sharisukte in Iran. In southeastern Iran, near the Helmand River, there is an ancient city that covers about 150 acres. It was one of the largest around 2500 BCE. It had a separate residential area, industrial zone, and even a place for burials. The people here had connections to different places. It's also unusual that it didn't have walls or defenses. This could mean that they didn't consider war as a primary threat. It burned down 3 times and was rebuilt 3 times as well. In the end, around 2300 BCE, it was abandoned and never inhabited again. It's called the Burnt City, and it completely disappeared from history until it was rediscovered in the 20th century. The most numerous remains here are the graves. It's estimated that there are about 20,000 to 40,000 graves in the area. This is one of the largest burial grounds discovered from the ancient world. When you spin it, the image seems to move. It's like the very first animation in history. But the most amazing thing is what was found in one of the graves. A woman who died around 2900 BCE. In her left eye, there was a prosthetic eye. It was made of special materials and had thin gold arranged to look like a real iris. There were small holes on the sides where it was attached, and it's clear that she really used it while she was alive because there are still marks on the bone around her eye. This is the oldest artificial eye ever found in the world. Thousands of years before modern medicine, people already had this level of knowledge. Then they just suddenly disappeared. The reason why the city was abandoned is still being debated. There is evidence that it may have been due to climate change. The area gradually dried up and the flow of the river changed. There is no evidence of a major war. There are also no signs of a sudden disaster. It seems like they just left and never came back. And with them, the knowledge of how they did those things was also lost. Number 4, Sigiriya in Sri Lanka. In the year 477, there was a king named Kashyapa Furfur. He killed his own father to seize the throne and drove his brother Simagallana out of the country. He knew his brother would come back for revenge, so he looked for a place that was almost impossible to invade, and that's where he found a very tall rock about 100 meters high. Towering above the jungle, this is where he built his new capital. He had stairs built going up the rock. At the top, he built a palace, gardens, and ponds with a water system that worked using pressure and gravity. In the middle of the rock, he had a huge mural painted. It was 140 meters wide. There was even a gateway carved in the shape of a giant lion, but his power did not last long. In the year 495, his brother returned with an army. In the battle, Kashyapa's elephant made a wrong move. His soldiers thought he was retreating, so they left him. And that's where he died in battle. After this, the capital was moved to another place. Saqqara was given to the monks and became a monastery. Eventually, it was also abandoned and covered by the forest, and the world forgot about it until it was rediscovered in 1831 by a British officer. What Kashyapa accomplished in just 18 years is an engineering feat that is still admired today. The gardens at the foot of the rock have pools and water channels that still work during the rainy season. Now it is filled with writings left by people who visited it over hundreds of years. Is it a fortress, a palace, a garden, or a place with a deeper meaning? But one thing is certain. There was someone who commissioned a massive project on top of the rock, in the middle of the forest, more than 1,500 years ago. And like many places on this list, it was also lost in the forest for more than 1,000 years. But even so, the paintings and structures still remain. It's as if time can't erase them. Number 3, Plain of Jars in Laos. On a high plain in northern Laos, you can see thousands of large stones that look like containers. More than 2,000 stone jars scattered all over the area. You can see them in the middle of rice fields, on top of hills, and beside rivers. Their height ranges from 1 to 3 meters, and the heaviest one weighs up to 14 tons. They are made from different materials: sandstone, granite, and others depending on the location. Almost all of them have a kind of rim on top, which suggests that they used to have lids. But what's strange is that only one of them has any kind of decoration. The others are just plain. No writing, no symbols, no explanation of who made them or why. In the 1930s, a French archaeologist named Madeleine Colani was the first to study the area. She discovered a cave near the main site. Inside, it was blackened by smoke, and on the floor, there were ashes and human bones. This is where she formed the theory that the place was used as a cremation site. The bodies were burned before being placed inside the jars. Sometimes more than one person was inside a jar. Some were placed in ceramic vessels, some were buried in pits with stone covers, and there were also traditional burials. It is believed that the jars were the first stage where the body was placed before the final burial. Larger and more well-made jars were possibly for more important people. This means it wasn't a simple community. There was a system, a hierarchy, and organization. But the problem is they didn't leave any names behind. No language was left, and it's not clear if they had any connection to the later cultures in the area. According to analysis, the jars were placed between 1240 and 660 BCE. That means more than 3,000 years have passed. But the site continued to be used as a burial ground for another 2,000 years after that. That means different generations of people returned to the same place to bury their dead beside the jars. There's another reason why there are so few studies here. For 9 years, it was heavily bombed. More than the total bombs used during the Second World War. Over 270 million cluster bombs were dropped. And it's estimated that 80 million of these did not explode. Until now, they're still buried in the ground. Between the jars, under the grass, and along the paths people walk, there are still residents getting hurt and dying because of this. That's why excavation is still limited. Less than 10% of the known sites have been safely studied. And it's possible that there are other places that haven't been discovered yet, hidden underground or beneath the bombs. Some jars have been damaged because of explosions. Others were used as cover during the war. That's why they became even more of a target. You can still see the craters even today. There's even a village known as Warspoon Village, because some people's livelihood came from melting down bomb metal to make spoons and other items. Just imagine, the same land that holds remains from 3,000 years of history also has bombs buried from just 50 years ago. And beneath all of that, there are still stories we don't know yet. A civilization without a name that left behind only stones and the way they honored their dead. Number 2, Cahokia in Illinois, about 12 kilometers from the modern city of St. Louis. On the other side of the Mississippi River, there are remains of an ancient city. At its peak, Around 1100 AD, it covered 6 square miles and had a population of over 20,000 people. It was even larger than London at that time. It had around 120 earth mounds, used as temples, residences, and burial sites. At its center, you'll find Monk's Mound, a massive structure that stands 30 meters tall and covers 14 acres. Just imagine, over 55 million cubic feet of earth was carried using only baskets hauled on people's backs. But even though the city was this large and organized, it disappeared before the Europeans arrived. And its real name, we no longer know. The name Cahokia actually comes from a tribe that arrived in the area 250 years later. That means it has no connection to the original builders. It is believed that those who built this were part of what is called the Mississippian culture, a group of different communities in North America. There is evidence that the people here came from different places. It was like a center where people came for trade, religion, or power. This means that the city had wide connections, but there are also things that are not easy to explain. It seems to be part of a ritual sacrifice. In the center, there is a person lying on top of 20,000 shell beads arranged like a bird. This means that unusual things were happening here. By around 1150 AD, the city began to shrink. It was possibly due to flooding, drought, or climate change. They even built a large wooden wall, like a defense or to divide the community. But in the end, it was gradually abandoned. By 1300 AD, there were almost no people left, and by 1350, it had completely disappeared. Many of the mounds were destroyed in the 19th century and used as construction materials. Today, most of the city is hidden beneath modern development, but Monk's Mound still stands, a silent reminder of a city that was even larger than medieval London. It left no name behind and no explanation for why it disappeared. Number 1, Pumapunku in Bolivia. At an altitude of around 3,900 meters above sea level, on the Altiplano of Bolivia, there are stones that seem like they shouldn't be there. This is Pumapunku, a part of the larger archaeological site called Tiwanaku near Lake Titicaca. Some of the stones here are extremely large. The largest one is 8 meters long, 5 meters wide, and weighs around 1 ton. Some of the stones came from a place 90 miles away with no wheels. There were no large animals to carry them. There were no iron tools, but they still managed to bring these stones. The stones were cut with incredible precision. There are perfect right angles, flat surfaces, and pieces that fit together like puzzle pieces, fitting together perfectly. There are H-shaped stones that are almost identical in size, like standardized pieces. It is believed that these were made by the Tiwanaku civilization. They lived from around 300 to 1000 AD. They were not a simple society. They had an advanced agricultural system and could support a large population. But even though there is an explanation for who made them, there are still questions. How did they achieve such precision using only simple tools? How did they move such heavy stones to such a high place? But the consistency and scale of the project are still hard to fully explain. This means they clearly had a systematic way of building. But one thing is clear, this wasn't finished. There are stones that haven't been placed yet, and some parts seem to have been left in the middle of construction. Around 1000 AD, the Tiwanaku civilization suddenly declined. It is believed that a long drought destroyed their farming system, and when they lost their ability to produce food, their community broke apart. And according to them, this is the place where the world began. Imagine, one of the most advanced civilizations in South America looked at these stones and believed they were made by the gods. And even now, even though we know more, there are still things here that we can't fully explain in a place said to be the origin of the world.